Hey, it's Dave Steve. Please like and subscribe. Please click on the Deck Heroes icon. Click on subscribe. 100% free. Well, blood in, blood out. Anyway, so we're talking about accessories. What are the accessories that you should be focusing on in terms of end game, and just kind of walk back basically from like early game, what you can realistically aim for, and why. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna go through the tippity top. I think these two are just listen, no doubt about it. These are the ones you should be aiming for when you can, and everything else is just like the interim arrangement. The little bit of playtime before you get serious. The practice match. Yeah. Anyway, the Ring of Doom. So whenever the wearer's troop launches any type of basic attack, it is a 10% chance. Any type of basic attack. That's very clear. So that to me says attack and counter attack. So every second, there's a 10% chance to gain a 50%. Well, for me, 65% because it's expertise, which is again why your main focus would be to get this Ring of Doom up to its maximum. You know what I mean? And get it expertise and go through these iconic levels as soon as possible. And I'm thinking with that, because it's a 50% bonus, which means that the expertise bonus is 15%. You have a harder choice to make about, do I expertise this first, or do we go down there as iconic attributes? Tricky one. And of course, if you're in KVK and if you're a spender, then you can get these blueprints relatively easy, especially if you're a relatively mid spender. I was going to say high spender, definitely. Even if you're a mid spender, you can probably get at least 2, maybe 3. I got 3 last KVK, but I did spend a little bit more than I normally would, and it depends on your starting point as well. You know what I mean? Because you can carry credits over from the last KVK. But anyway, Ring of Doom, top priority. Tippity tippity top, toppity tip, tip top, top tip, tip tip top top. There is a theory out there that there is a limit or a ceiling on the amount of damage that you can do anyway, which is another consideration. But for an area of effect commander to have a chance to do, a 65% bonus to your damage to those people touched from the area of effect, and your normal attack damage or your counter attack damage, whatever it's going to be over those 2 seconds that it lasts for. Come on, you got to do it. Got to do it. Next KVK, I'll have. As I said, I'm a pay to play. I'm kind of a mid spender in KVK. I will definitely have 2 blueprints. The tricky thing is getting the materials basically to be able to upgrade it. And I really recently did an upgrade to all of my 5 main armies, which obviously means I've got less to put into my literal main army, which is my Guan Yu infantry army. But yeah, I've done those little bit of tweaks to the team, and now I can focus on my star player, Guan Yu. And as you'll see, in some ways I'm quite close, and in other ways I'm quite far away. I am VIP 17, since this is an equipment video on VIP 17, so I'll be giving 3 blue equipment materials every single day for free at VIP 17. And what that means is I'll have the equivalent of a legendary equipment piece every 6 days, which means it's realistic and it's a lot easier to get here than if you're at a lower level. That's again why your strategy, looking at this video, if you're bothered about your equipment and you're aware of how important it is. And I know there's a lot of other things which are also important, but I think people tend to get drawn into maximizing the commanders. Those things are much more easy to come by. The golden heads are more easily to come by, more than gems, or there's a million events which will give you golden heads, you know what I mean? And it's much harder to get the materials. It's definitely more harder to get the blueprints. So you need to make it easier for yourself. You try where possible to have that longer term plan about going up the VIP, so you can maximize things like this. And no, it's not going to be as much of a struggle as it could have been. Yeah, definitely the most important piece of equipment is the Ring of Doom. Controversial from there, I'm going to be honest with you, but I think most people tend to agree from there it's the Horn of Fury. Looking at the left hand side now, whenever the wearer's troop launches any type of basic attack, it has a 30% chance to gain an extra 50 rage. What I'm thinking is that is expertise, isn't it? Yeah. So why isn't I'm gonna say I must have clicked on something else. Yeah, I clicked on something else. Okay, 30% chance to gain an extra 65 rage. There may well be, and there probably is, a limit on how much rage you can gain on any particular turn, but that level is unknown, and you just take what you can get. And I'm more than happy with the results I get from my Huan Yu. I reckon that this is the second must-have accessory. I'm going to quickly run through the iconic attributes. For one time only, it's going to be exactly the same as for the Ring of Duma. Yeah, base health, we take the extra 4 all day. Troop health, as a percentage, we'll take that all day. The unit capacity, obviously, is only going to help having a bigger army. If you're fighting a smaller army, you just do more damage, especially in normal attacks, or maybe only in normal attacks. Damage to rallied armies or garrisons, well, there's nothing to worry about or to consider for infantry, but say if you had this on your cav, then much more likely that may well be relevant from time to time if you're a rally person in your kingdom. And if you're not, please don't invest in those commanders, it's just a waste. That's experience talking, it's up to you what you want to do. Anyway, Divine Might, whenever the Wilders troop launches any type of basic attack, it has a 10% chance to gain one of the following effects for 2 seconds with a 5-second cooldown. So basic attack is literally every second. Minimum every other second, but this sounds like it's every second. So you do an attack, then you do a basic counter attack, and then you do a basic attack, and then you do a basic counter attack. 10% chance, but there's a chance if it's always happening. Anyway, it deals 6.5% of expertise to more normal damage, and takes 6.5% less normal damage of all types. Basically, it will deal more damage, normal damage, and take less normal damage of all types. We'll have that. Or it deals 6.5% more skill damage and makes you more tanky by taking 6.5% less damage. Oh man, it's absolutely essential. Absolutely essential. I can't wait. Yes, it's going to be expensive. At this, but definitely achievable. And again, through the KVK, you can get these blueprints, and it's more easier if you're a spender. And that's the game that we're playing. The game, the ROK. That's the way they've set out the store to tie us in and trap us into spending on this game. That's where we're going to go. So from there, that's what I recommend everybody aims for. Now I'm going to look at all the equipment. I might actually look from the bottom up. All the accessory equipment from the bottom up, and we just give it a yay or a nay. And hopefully the reasons why. March speed, not bothered, unless it's, sometimes you get like farm killers out there, so just put it on some random cav army, because I'm not a cav main, and then that or maybe I'll put it on, anyway, I'm going towards a cav army now. I'll put it on that army if I remember, because obviously if I've got it as a main, then I've got it in my formation battles. What am I talking about? Let me show you. Sunset Canyon and things like that, you know what I mean? So really, you don't want to have a March speed rune in the Sunset Canyon, you know what I mean? You want to have something which is, end game. So anyway, it's usually going to go on a cow or something like that to chase down a farm killer, and the March speed would be used for that, but don't worry about it and don't invest in it. It's my overall recommendation. Low horse thing, don't worry about that. Even for the barbarian type events, it says that things like equipment and accessories don't actually influence anything, so just don't bother. experience gain, don't bother. And I do accept early game. You may be considering, how you're going to get your experience up. It's just a waste of the distraction. You definitely would not invest at the epic level. Maybe it's the elite level, but I still wouldn't do that either. It's just a waste of gold, really. That 4 million, nah. The Bard's Pendant. Extra resources from gathering. Realistically, it's just a no. But obviously, technically, you want, if you got one primary resource gatherer, I've got that. I'll show you that army right now, just to avoid any kind of confusion. Yeah, if I did give a Bard's Pendant, assuming I had the blueprints, then I send this off to the Alliance pit. It's got the best of everything, and say if I can only have one army gathering, especially if it's gold and gold's slow to gather, then I gather that slightly quicker. That's kind of end game. I don't know if I'd recommend that if you're just kind of starting off, and I'd only do it with the excess. I wouldn't do it with I wouldn't go out your way to spend gems or kind of strategize towards it unless it comes about by itself. That just happened to luckily have a glut of bones basically for this, and a glut of the blueprints. And it says you can only get it from participating in the Lost Kingdom Season Uno. Thank you. I must be on Season 1 billion now or something like that. Okay, the troop takes 5% less counterattack damage of all types. I remember the game when we only had this, really, you know what I mean, and this and very little else basically. And I did have it. I've already got it equipped, but I haven't got it expertised, and I don't recommend it. If you come across it and you got some excess, then obviously you just make the use of what you got. But even though counterattack damage is at minimum going to be every other second, it's kind of in that mid-tier, kind of lower mid-tier area. So I can't deny it's every other second, but it's only normal damage. As the new meta seems to be about smite damage, which increases, at the attack stats of those commanders, generally speaking, this becomes more relevant. But it's not to be ignored, but I say I wouldn't go out my way to kind of invest in this in particular. Unit capacity, oh my gosh, early game, absolutely essential. It gets overridden by the Ring of Doom late game. It took me a long time to let go of ancient stratagems. It is very useful. Kind of upper mid tier. It's only 3%. If that was like 4%, it'd be a lot more tempting. You know what I mean? But not to be ignored. Very, very, very useful early game, and I definitely would recommend kind of investing in that until you can replace it with something better. And that's probably going to be your best accessory. I'd say until you get that Ring of Doom or something like that. But again, I do not recommend you spend gems to get it. But you can get it along the way. I'm trying to think. I'm going to come out of it very, very, very quickly. I'm going to give you a tip as well. Right, so if you zoom out, you can see Barbarian Stronghold, and it will just basically highlight where the strongholds are. I can't remember if you can get that accessory from this. Can't remember, but yeah. If you can get it, very good. Let's move on. March speed for infantry. Just don't worry about that. I don't listen to anybody that convinces you to focus on March speed. if that's at the cost of anything else like attack, defense, health, anything else, it's just garbage. Don't listen to them. Anyway, silent trial. Whenever the troop wearer's troop launches any type of basic attack, the target loses 10 rage. That is actually still not bad at all. Any type of basic attack. So that's going to be attack and counter attack. They keep on losing 10 rage, 10 rage, 10 rage, 10 rage. Yeah, for a long time I had silent trial with ancient stratagems. Nothing wrong with these two. And I think I did get it from that barbarian stronghold. Every so often, it's just random things pop up. I'm certain I got it from the barbarian stronghold. Now I think about it, and yeah. So definitely this one, but maybe not the other one. Yeah, this one I think you can get from. Well, definitely Hunt for History, but I think there's something else you can get it from as well. It hasn't occurred to me. Let's go for it. Immolating Plume. Whenever the wearer's troop deals range direct, that's kind of a siege thing. It's not a siege video. 8% more counterattack. No, not good enough. Seth's call. Whenever the wearer's troop launches any type of basic attack, has a 10% chance to grant a 10% attack bonus to the wearer's troop and up to tier. Nah, 10%. Listen, it's not awful. None of these are awful. It's not like they're all positive, but it's just not good enough. And there's better out there. And at a legendary status, just not good enough. I've already talked about the Horn of Fury. It's like second in terms of priority, and it's a definite. Moira's Web. Whenever the wearer's troop launches any type of basic attack, has a 30% chance to reduce the target's defense by 30%. No, 30% chance to reduce the target's defense by 4% and march speed. Nah, it's not enough. It's nowhere near enough. 4%. Well, okay, I'm going to go out here. So that's Moira's Reb. The reason why I'm going to garbage that right now is garbage. 4%? Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Defense reduction, number of troops surrounding, times 15 up to 3 troops. Defense reduction per stack, bang, 15% straight in. 15% straight in. Or we can invest in Moira's Web and get a whole 4%, and we don't even just get the 4% as a guaranteed. It's a 30% chance. It's a no Moira. Greatest Glory. Wearer's troop deals 5% more normal damage of all types. So normal damage is a factor towards smite damage. Is it interesting enough? No. No, and no. 5% nah. Ring of Doom, I already talked about it. It's the most important accessory that you can get, in my point of view. Pendant of Eternal Night. 5% more skill damage of all types. So you can either have 5% more damage, or this one, 10% chance for 50% more damage. Yeah, you pick your poison. Most people tend to pick the Ring of Doom. I think mainly because of that 50% damage bonus. There's only a 10% chance, or you can go and guarantee and have 5% more chance, 5% more skill damage. Yeah, so if you choose between these, it's completely up to you. Most people tend to go for, I believe, Ring of Doom. Cavalry's War Drums. Whenever the wearer's troop launches any type of basic attack, it has a 10% chance to grant 50 extra rage to the wearer's troop and up to 2 nearby allied troops. I do have this. I put it on my buffered stroke debuffer. I don't want to have a buffer stroke debuffer. I want to have 5 strong armies. So in the future, I want to replace this out. So even though I've got it, and I got it towards just before they changed things for Iconic, or definitely before anyway, and yeah, if at that same time after they did the change, then I would have scrapped it and I never would have invested in it. And that's similar, but not quite the same for this concealed dagger. I say when they brought all this equipment system out, there was a conversation about what was strong and yeah, listen, there's nothing wrong. Let's read it. Whenever the troop launches any type of basic attack, again, that's every second, it has a 30% chance to reduce the target's health by 5% and it stacks up to 3 times. So it's only 30% chance, so the odds that it's going to stack up to 3 times is incredibly low, right? There's no cooldown. But if it did, yeah, reducing health, which is affected by, you know, your attacks, your counter attacks, and your skill damage, it's a big deal. So I don't want to rubbish the concealed dagger. But yeah, I say at the moment I got this paired up with my Luce, who's a smite damage commander. So he's got boosted or relatively boosted attack stats because normal attack damage goes into the ultimate calculation for the active skill of smite damage. So yeah, if you're reducing their health, then you know that whatever damage you're doing is going to have more of an effect, and it is a 30% chance. I'd still rather have these. I think maybe the concealed dagger's number 3 to consider, and maybe Pendant of Eternal Night maybe 4 to consider. Number 4. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Hey, listen, if you have a different idea, put it in the comments, or just go with whatever you think is best. And we're all right when we're playing our own games. It's all good. Skola's Lucky Coin. This is one of the first ones, if not the first one, that came out, and there's going to be a lot of whales crying into their kind of gold teacups about having invested in this one when there was nothing else. This was obviously, that kind of competitive advantage, but now that there is, it's trash. So anyway, Skola's Lucky Coin, reading down the right hand side. Whenever the wearer's troop is hit with any type of basic attack, it's a 10% chance to gain a damage absorbing shield for 2 seconds, which is a damage factor of 500 and a cooldown of 5. So it's not garbage, but so take that back. I do take it back, but it's only got a 10% chance. The shield's only 500, but of course you'll take it for free. Yeah, maybe it's no higher than 5, but maybe a little bit lower, in my point of view. Peter's Sickle, again, you'll notice I've already got this on my primary collector. Yeah, we'll take 10% gathering speed, and at the time it didn't hurt me. I didn't really need the bones, and bones are the things I always have extra. So yeah, in KBK, say if I have to sacrifice a piece of a material, it's going to have to be bone. It will never be anything else, because anything else is just way too valuable. That's where that goes. I've already talked about the bonuses to barbarians in the events. These types of things do not count. The only grey area is this one, the Bard's Pendant. It's just, how do you get this? Maybe hunt for history. Listen, the way I look at it is, if you're going to invest in it, and it's obviously quite expensive, that's 80 purple, that's the equivalent of 40 legendary, which is a lot. But you get an extra 5% resource gathering. You're going to be gathering all the time. If I put this on my primary commander in terms of the extra gold, it would be 5% extra every, not even every day. Yeah, every day. Let's say every time I try to gather, I get an extra 5%. Yeah, we'd want that. But for me to get it, if I'm going to hunt for history, I'll be getting this instead at my end game stage. I'll be getting this instead of the materials. You know what I mean? So I would have to accept that trade-off, because at the moment for purple I always go for more materials, because I need a stack of them. We all need a stack of them in order to optimize, everything that we're trying to go for right now. Look at mine. And even for me, this is just number 1. After that, I've got to try and do the same for this one, which is nothing there optimized. this one, and there's nothing optimized, and all of the others, you know, so basically a bottomless pit. Anyway, hope you found that useful. Please like, subscribe. Daddy Steve, and I am out.